Man, what's good? What's poppin', my people? I ain't even gonna lie to you. I did not think that I would ever partake in one of these again. I honestly didn't. I had stopped watching boxing, and yeah, life kicked in, changes, and all that other stuff. And as much as I have gone back and looked at all of my old episodes, I just honestly never thought that I would find myself doing one of these again. But here we are. And thank you for just checking it out, right? You already know how your boy look. So we ain't gotta go through all that. The logo is as close to as the real thing is you'll see in this particular special episode of Ring Around the World, man. It's been a minute. Wow. I hope everybody doing good. So last night I had the opportunity to catch the Davis versus Roach fight. And it's a lot to be discussed, right? I'm just a boxing fan. I'm not a boxer. I'm not a coach. I'm not a second man. I wish I was, though. I think I probably I might do good on that. But anyway, I'm none of the above. I'm just a boxing fan. I have watched boxing for years. Okay, back when the pay-per-views were $20 and $30, you could be rest assured if somebody was getting a fight, I was getting a fight for sure. Over time, things have changed, and so have the prices. And you gotta pick cautiously when you get in the fights, unless you got a plug where you can always get them for free. I don't know, yo. Like, I was compelled to get this one because I'm definitely a Tank fan, and you gotta show love to your talent, from your hometown for sure, especially when they doing something good. You gotta tune in. It's a code. And so I went ahead and caught the fight. Now I'm gonna get into my full thoughts on the main event, but like I used to do, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start at the bottom. Okay, and let me just say this for the record: that undercard, in my book, personally for me, that undercard was way more better. It was definitely better and much more interesting than the matches for the main event. And I can understand, like, they only had a certain amount of time and stuff like that. And so, you got to try to condense a really good fight into a good fight, so that they could keep it moving to the main event. But for me, the undercard seemed way much more exciting than the matches for the main event. That's just my personal opinion. So let me just start with the undercards. And shout out to Prime, shout out to PBC, shout out to GTD Productions for putting together a really good show. They sold out Barclays Center. I wish I had some tickets in a backstage pass. I would have enjoyed myself. But anyway, it was worth watching. All right. So first fight we're gonna start off with is the Derek Davis versus Jamal Johnson. Derek Davis, y'all better keep y'all eye on that young man. Like, I was truly, truly impressed with his in-ring everything. The showmanship, you definitely get that Money Mayweather, and I'm not trying to do the comparisons, but I'm saying, like, the Flash was there for sure, but the Flash, was nothing compared to the skill. The skill definitely was there. And I'm not gonna go by round to round, but I'm just gonna say young dude did real well. He was very impressive. He to me, um, definitely he manhandled old boy. What did I say? Boy got body shots. I used to say that, and he definitely does have it. He has great potential, and just I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out for him um, in the near future. I do see him becoming a belt holder, a title holder for sure. Especially with all of the changes that are going to be coming up, with the middleweight division and everything. I see Youngin doing his thing. I definitely see him doing this thing, and he homeboy. Shout out to you, homie. You did a fantastic job. That was a mean ass coach you had on afterwards, right? But yeah, great job, man. Great job. And then we're gonna go to the Whitmore versus Angel Munez. So Whitmore's another homeboy, and they call him the body snatcher. He was definitely doing his damn thing. He truly was, and I gotta give it to Munoz because he wasn't giving up the fight easy. Like, he definitely held down his end of this bargain. But at the end of the day, Whitmore did get the win. I think that I would probably like to see this fight over again. It was very interesting. It was very good. Both of the fighters, they brought their A game, and it was one of those where any guy could have won. Any guy truly could have won, and it's I would definitely put it on a want to see again list for sure. And again, shout out to Whitmore for the win. Next fight, Jared Swift Hurd and Johan Gonzalez. First and foremost, big shout out to Brother Hurd, Brother Swift. We know some folks, man. When I saw your name on the card, I was like, yo, I know she watching it. She probably there, but she would always talk about you. She would always big up you and never be afraid to say she was a strong supporter. Shout out Kim. And when I saw you, man, like, time is definitely, it shows, the Swift of old has gotten older, and it showed. And I don't know, man, like, it seemed like, well, first and foremost, Gonzalez was getting away with a lot of headbutts. Let's be clear about that. He can clearly, if you go back and look at the replays, you can see that he definitely was. He beat that eye up. That eye got beat up with Gonzalez's head for sure. And the ref, for real, should have called him on it. I think that if he had I would probably say possibly 2 points could have been taken away from him if the referee had actually paid attention to the times where he was using his head first. For sure, I think the headbutting played a major role in Hurd's not winning this fight. I think if they had gone another 45 seconds, Hurd could have potentially pulled off the win, maybe possibly gotten a TKO. But outside of all of that, brother, I felt you when you reluctantly, because you could tell when you reluctantly said that was your last fight. I could feel all of that, and I want to salute you. I want to say thank you for the years of entertainment. Do not by any means hold your head down. I could see a few times in the fight, like just in your posture, you I'm not gonna say you wasn't feeling it, but it looked like you just didn't want to a few times. But don't be discouraged, brother, because you have provided class entertainment when you got in that ring. And I salute you big time for all that you've done, and I wish you nothing but continued success, moving forward. I get it. I'm going through that in my personal career. At some point, we really want to believe that we got that one more innocence. Sometimes, you know, it just ain't there, and we find out that it's not there. I'm again, I'm not downplaying you at all. There were definitely a few periods during the fight where it just seemed like you just didn't want to do it anymore, and then there were more moments when you definitely gave it your all. But again, I go back and say the headbutts is what beat you. And if it had been 45 more seconds, I believe you could have got the TKO, or you might have won on points, because you were definitely looking good near the end of the fight. And then we're going to go to the cards on the main event. Yeah, we're going to go to the cards on the main event. So, I can't put Tellez versus Williams. That fight, I don't know. I mean, I saw it. I was here at home and I saw it, but just really wasn't into it like I was the the ones that came on before the pay-per-view started, before the main events. J Rock did well. Williams, aka J Rock. J Rock did all right. Jonas Tellez, I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but he came to fight. I got to give it to him. He did come to fight. He definitely came in there not to lose, for sure. And again, I think with Williams, age probably did play a factor as well. I mean, when you in your 30s, things just hit different. And just like what Heard, you could tell in how he moved and how he fought. He definitely brought his best A game, for sure. Not saying he didn't show up to fight. He definitely did. But you could see where, age in this particular fight did matter. And salute to both of the fighters. Again, for me, I watched it, but I wasn't really, nothing really occurred in the fight to make me go, oh, I need to keep my eye on this one. Then we're going to go to Puello versus Martin. That was a good fight. That was definitely a good fight. I would like to see this one ran back as well. Martin came in the fight. There were a couple times where I felt like Puello may be able to pull it off, and Puello, for some reason, reminded me of a young Trinidad. I don't know if it was the look or what, but he definitely did have me thinking young Felix Trinidad during the fight. But they both brought their game. It was another fight where I was watching it, but I wasn't really watching it. There were a few times when I kind of tuned in, but this would be a fight that I would probably want to see ran back as well, because Martin, again, he brought his, he came to fight, for sure. He came to fight, and if I'm not mistaken, the commentator said that he basically got out of the way twice before even getting to this point. Like, he was a contender in a couple other times, and basically got paid to sit down. And this was his moment. He came, he brought his best game, and unfortunately it didn't get him to win, but this would be one that I would want to see again, for sure. Valenzuela versus Russell. First of all, shout out to Mr. Russell and the whole Russell family. One of my children went to elementary school with one of the Garys. I don't even know which number Gary it was, but I saw your name. I was like, yo, there's only one Russell, well, two Russells I've ever known, where the spotlight chased them. And that was the Russell family up on Georgia Avenue when I was a kid. The father and the grandfather used to cut my hair. And then there's the Russell family in Capitol Heights, Maryland. And when we lived over there, um, one, two of my children, maybe all four of them may have gone to school with a Russell. But when I saw your name, I was like, okay, this is going to be a good fight. And it definitely was. It definitely was a good fight. Shout out to you, Gary. And I know your pop's proud of you. This fight, to me, it wasn't even, but it was definitely close. It was definitely close in my book. I know for a fact that Russell came in for the win no matter what, and he did well. He did very well in the fight. But man, and you can't sleep on Valenzuela. Valenzuela came. He came to win, but Russell definitely came to win and get it, and that he did do. So congratulations again to Mr. Russell, sir. Great job. And then we get to the main event. Gervonta, however he pronounced it, because I hear the ring announcer say Gervonta. So Mr. Davis and Brother Roach versus Brother Roach. Salute. Big time salute. Big fist in the air. Big ones up to Brother Roach. Like, he came to fight. He came to fight. Like, he came to fight. There was no look of fear or intimidation in this man's eyes. The talking back and forth to each other, I don't know if they was really talking shit to each other or if they were giving directions. We've heard about these things happening before. Don't know. All I know is it was a little too much chattering for me. But the fight was very interesting up until the out of nowhere knee. At that particular point, I was like, so you can definitely see that Gervonta commands the ring. He's running everything. Literally. Who has ever in a boxing match taken a knee without getting an 8 count? I don't care if you had hair grease in your eyes. The fact that there was no count is where the issue lies. Like, that was just not a good move, dude. And again, I'm not doubting that you may or may not have had grease in your eyes, but then I gotta ask, if they was over there watering you down the round before and patting you with the towel, how come it didn't, they didn't do that at that point to prevent? It's a whole lot of questions about that. Like, that could have, to me, for all the times he went to the corner, that could have been prevented. He could have definitely prevented that. But just the act of taking the knee and the referee not giving you a count, the shoulder. You should have got something on that shoulder. There were a couple things that occurred during the fight that just threw me off. And as far as it being a draw, I wouldn't have called it a draw. I definitely would have gave it to Roach. I do believe that if the knee had been counted as an 8 count, Roach could have won on points. He could have won on points. I just don't, that was run it back. Definitely run it back. But I'll also share with you, my other personal thoughts about this fight. And I jumped on Twitter and I saw Clarissa Shields and her her post and stuff. And I'm gonna say this about Clarissa Shields because I did comment on it on this post that they did, this short clip of her on YouTube. And I'm gonna say just what I said in the comment on YouTube about Clarissa Shields. There's no doubt about her skill, and it's been real impressive to watch her go from boxing to UFC and do her thing. Like, definitely something that will not be forgotten by any sports fans who are into both boxing and UFC, MMA. You will always be part of a conversation for sure because you have created that. But this thing of you telling people how bad you are, or reminding people, didn't want to sound real sarcastic, but sometimes, but reminding people of how bad you are. Like I said in the comments, skill cannot be questioned or denied. You're not bad. You're not bad on the eyes either, right? But what's going on with your team? Like, are they not getting you enough fights? Is this the point where you're basically bored of sitting around and you're trying to get someone to say, "Yo, I'll fight you"? Serrano, Amanda Serrano. I'm gonna throw that name out there, Amanda Serrano. I don't understand why after her fight on the Tyson versus Paul card, I don't even understand why you didn't go ahead and start getting your team to work with her team to come up with that fight. But and I feel like that fight needs to happen. I feel like that particular fight needs to happen because Serrano looked like she could give you just what you give her, hands down. Hands down. No disrespect to you, but I'm saying I feel like Serrano would be that fight. That you versus Serrano would be just as big a fight as the first Wilder versus Fury fight, as Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Like I can see that kind of buzz for you. Main event, if it was actually a all women's card, I could see it as being the main event. Would you sell out? I'm sure you would sell out. You can't do it in Michigan, though. You're going to have to find a bigger venue if you're trying to get bigger money. But I don't understand why your team didn't get with her team to go ahead and try to make that happen. Not everybody want to work with the with the promoters that you working with, and not everybody want to work with the promoters that she's working with. And I understand everybody got to eat, but damn, how big a meal do you need in order to make this fight happen? That's my question. But to continue to just do this thing like it's it's getting old. And I saw what she was writing, on Twitter, and I'm gonna say this: I definitely was pulling for Tank to win. Let's be clear. Nothing against Brother Roach. He a homeboy, but I'm a Tank fan. Just I am. And I felt like, he mentioned something around the beginning of the year about possibly not boxing after 2025. And when he made that comment, you could just see in him that he was serious about it. And you could also see that he wasn't as attached to the excitement of the next upcoming fight. Like, he's always been that. At least to me, he's always been that calm person. Like, fuck around and find out if you want to. He don't he don't do a lot of talking, but when he does, he does. I've always liked that about him. I've always liked his in-ring skill. But I can't forget the fact that he did make a statement saying that he would not be boxing after 2025. And I was talking to my best friend and I told him, I said, maybe this is the beginning of the end. And he was like, what you talking about? I'm like, this could be a situation where you look at let's look at it from this perspective. Floyd Mayweather, the dude, if you for him, you got paid. People paid to paid to attend to the fights and to see the fights on pay-per-view. Some people were cheering for Floyd. Some people were hoping he would get his little ass knocked out. But no matter what, you can be rest assured if Floyd Mayweather's name was on the card, it was going to be a sellout. You look at Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya sold out a lot of fights too. There were definitely people who paid big money to see Oscar De La Hoya fight. And there have been other fighters as well in this weight class who have definitely, once their name is on the card, it's a sellout no matter what. Davis is that person right now. And because he's already mentioned the fact that possibly this would be the last year that we would see him in the ring, it makes sense to find out who the next fighter could be because they got momentum right now, right? They have momentum in this division, and there are a lot of people who are fighting right now in this division. And so we want to make sure, and I'm, being a street promoter, right? I'm using not ring knowledgeable, promotion knowledgeable analogies to come up to this conclusion. Okay, well, your ideas to come up with this conclusion, but I feel like this: promoters are definitely involved in this, managers are definitely involved in this, and they're concerned about what's gonna happen next once Tank retires. So we need to find somebody that's gonna continue to be a draw. Because once Tank step away, who do we have to take his place that could bring that much excitement? And I think that this particular fight was a vetting to find out if Roach is actually that guy. If Roach is going to be the one that's going to pack the arenas when it's time for him to defend the title. It's my personal thought. I mean, it was just enough last night for me to go, you know what, this could possibly be it. And of course, you got to run it back. It's a draw. You have to run it back. And I think even that within itself says, okay, so let's just gauge the temperature and see exactly what kind of atmosphere this particular fight brings up in the air. Are people really going to be into it? Are people really going to go to the betting apps and bet money? Like, are they really going to be, is this fight the one? Is Roach the next one? And as a draw, you have no other choice but to run that back. You have to run that back, and you got to run it back once they healed enough. What, 4 months, 5 months from now, y'all need to run that back. I don't know what the healing time and the training time would take, but y'all got to run that back before this year is out. Could possibly be the fight of the year. Could possibly be. But overall, it was interesting. Again, I said all the stuff I needed to say about the actions of Davis and everything on the back end. But overall, it was a very interesting event. For $74, $75, I don't really think I got my money's worth. Honestly, I think I could have just watched the free part, the before the main event fight, and would have just been good with that. I think that Amazon might want to consider giving some people like $5, $10 credit, especially for those folks that have the people that have Prime should have already had access to it. Let's just be clear about that. The people that didn't have Prime should have been the ones to pay for the fight, and it would have been folks paying for the fight because they wanted to see it. No doubt in my mind. But I think that the people who have Prime, if they had to pay, they should have got something cut off because of the fact that they had Prime membership. Just makes sense to me, right? But overall, it's a pretty good one. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most, the main event, I would give it about maybe between a 7.5 and an 8, but the undercard for sure was a 9.5, maybe a 10. That's all I got for you, my folks. Again, if you catch this one, thank you for tuning in. Will I do it again? I don't know. But I definitely, in watching the fight last night, I was like, I gotta do one. I gotta do one. And I kept trying to blow it off, and boom, here you go. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you when I see you. Y'all be blessed, all right?